I'm Alice. This is for my Welsh back. I'm currently doing a question based on virtual reality and the benefits it has towards mental health. Today, I'm here with my friend Rory, who I will be interviewing
Hello.
amongst many other people, based on their view on virtual reality. If you didn't realize, we are currently in virtual reality. Um, yeah, so I actually thought I'd show some of the things off. So this is a headset. Normally you'd put it on your head. Game's not working. Sometimes it does that, but that's one of the great things about VR. So one of the main reasons that VR.
So Ellis, why don't you tell us more about the VR gear?
Just to let you know, we have a cameraman over there currently doing all the special effects of the switchy swoos of the cameras.
Hello, I'll be coming in a little bit later, so
Yeah, he'll be the next
we'll
person
see
that
each
we're
other very, very
interviewing.
soon. Yes.
Yeah. So answering his thing about the VR headset and the setup and stuff, there's various controllers and things which can do multiple things depending on what setup you have. I currently have a Vive, which is actually the headset that we have there. There is full body tracking, which are those little trackers. You put them on your feet and your hips, and they allow for full body movement. Yes, Rory is currently making these exact movements.
What about the pucks?
Yep.
Okay, these are the pucks. This is full body tracking. You have these usually either on the front of your hip or on the side of it, and you also have it on either the top of your feet, on the side, wherever is most comfortable, and wherever that is in comparison to your in-game model, it will follow your real life movements at the same time. Okay, so just leave that there now. So there's also different controllers. As you can see, I currently have two different hand positions. This is because I'm currently using two different controllers. The Vive controller, which does not track finger movements or anything, that is actually the controller that is sat there. And if I open my menus, you can see my other controller, which is an index controller. This ring by here has sensors in it to track where my fingers are in relation. So these are actual finger movements. It's really immersive, purely for the fact that everything that you do in real life can in some way be replicated into the virtual world. So it allows people a really safe environment to test out various things. Like, obviously, right now, I can talk to people around the world. Rory, where are you headed right now? Where are you right now? I mean,
Florida, the USA.
Show, where you?
Yeah.
I am in Massachusetts, near the other side of where Rory is, towards north.
Exactly. See, so two people I never would have met otherwise. I met through VR, and I have formed very good friendships with. So there's like a good thing with friendships as one thing, but obviously there are many other things that we'll dive into further on into the project. And so now that we've got the basics of this project and why I'm actually going through with the interviews in general, we're gonna head over to Rory. We're gonna ask Rory a few questions, see his input on VR and mental health.
Yup.
What is your general opinion on VR and mental health in general,
VR I think is an amazing thing. Like you said before, I've been able to meet like a whole bunch of people that I would have never been able to otherwise. I'm pretty like shy and like anxious most of the time, so VR is definitely a just a useful tool so that I can like test out the waters and like I guess piece by piece build a bit of confidence, you know? But still like be able to take off the helmet and just like relax if it gets too much.
Mm. How long have you actually been using VR?
For about 2, maybe 3 years.
And how do you think that you've developed in terms of confidence in that time?
I think I've like really I think I've developed a lot. So like in the beginning of like VR, I was like mute. I would not talk or use my mic at all. But over time, I met people that I really trust, and I've grown to call friends. And so now I feel confident not only just talking, but also like showing who I am. Actually, yeah.
I don't mean to be insensitive at all, but do you have any like mental issues, like any anxieties, any mental disorders, anything like that?
Yeah. Anxiety. It's just that.
What kind of things have you
Um,
experienced with your anxiety inside the VR environment?
um, it it can be like really overwhelming. Meeting new people because it feels real. These are real people that you're meeting, and so yeah, it feels like if we were face to face and I was meeting you in real life. But I do have the option of taking off the helmet and just like leaving whenever I want, just like a real safe feeling.
Mm. So you would still say that that experience is very similar to how you would do it in real life then?
hmm
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
So has VR actually helped your anxiety in any way?
yes. It has. I feel like I've taken what I've learned from VR and I can actually use it in real life. Just
Okay.
walking, I could probably walk up to someone and just start a conversation that like 2 or 3 years ago I probably wouldn't have.
Okay. Is there anything that you've seen through other people in terms of their mental health and how they cope in virtual reality with it?
Um, I've seen like similar stories to mine, um, where like a lot of people are really anxious or they're like alone, and VR has just been a place where you meet people and I guess just grow bonds and grow friendships.
Do you think that it would be possible for VR therapy to become more widespread? Because I know it does actually exist, it's just very contained. Not many people know that it's actually happening.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think this could be used for therapy and um with the prices of like VR becoming cheaper, I feel like in the future, in the near future, it would definitely benefit everyone if that was possible.
Okay, well, thank you for, coming and talking to me about this. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go to the next person to interview them.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thanks for coming. Okay, well, feel free to take your leave and we'll get the next person on.
All right.
Well, it seems we're having some technical difficulties. Please wait. Please stand by.
This is one of the many.
Hello. I am now here. Oh. Oh my god, my foot. My foot!
Tracking difficulties.
You can't all say about. Yes. Tracking is a little bit of a hindrance in here. I lost my chair. Hold on a second. I found my chair. Oh god, my foot. See? Tracking issues. Make sure you get better with the trackers.
I don't know whether to keep this in or not.
Oh god, my hip.
I feel like this would be fun.
I don't know. So too.
So next up, we're going to be interviewing Sho. We also have another person here called Stara, who we will be interviewing later on. And since Sho is no longer cameraman, we have Fox over there. Fox will also be someone we are
Hello.
interviewing. Okay. So,
Yes.
Sho, it's interesting
Yes.
with you because you actually have a background in mental stuff, like psychology. Was it in training? Psychologist in training?
Yes. I've done research in cognitive psychology, done it in developmental, abnormal, a little bit of everything. I've sprinkled my experience around.
Okay, cool. So, since you have a lot of experience and probably knowledge in this kind of thing, what do you think about VR and mental health in general?
Well, in personal opinion, if the funding and the development of more advanced technology were to go into VR, then I think it would be a great addition to the field of psychology. In the bibliography that you created, we looked at one study from something that I had seen a while back, but I didn't know the validity, but I believe it's really good. The University of Oxford had done a study on how phobias could be controlled by administering patients to certain stimuli. Say, like, you had a fear of spiders. In a VR world, we could put you in a safe setup where you would be able to interact with said spider. Where maybe you had a fearsome moment where you say, stop, unless we can pull you away from the stimuli until you basically become more desensitized and thus can take the stimuli. In that case, I'd say that other things like helping with certain mental disabilities could be very helpful, like social anxiety. Anxiety has been a big one that's come up, and already VR takes a big step forward in helping with anxiety, where something goofy like having a goof up, instead of you now running to the bathroom or something to avoid like embarrassment, it's here. We all have a good chuckle about it, and you move on and you make sense of everything. In the terms of VR to specific mental disorders, I believe it can help things like ADHD, social anxiety, people with Alzheimer's could probably be shown like memories of their childhood, maybe their families and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm blabbering on, but yeah, I
No,
do
it's
believe it
perfectly
could make
fine.
a good impression.
Okay, so I'm actually curious. Do you have any like mental issues at all?
Me specifically, I have ADD, but I've learned to control it as I've gotten older. I used to be on Adderall when I was younger, and that would help me to curb my ADD, but it was actually making me extremely depressed. Like, at a boy of like 14 to 16, I wasn't the yes, let's go outside and happy and running around and be excited. No, it was not a great experience. But yeah, I went into psychology because I thought it could be something better than here, medicine, pill, take this, you're good, bye. No, I think a lot of problems with people and society starts at the mind, and thus why I decided to go into psychologist. Maybe I can help curve that enthusiasm that we could do something with the mind instead of just give a pill and go on with our day. Obviously, there are people who need the pills, but if we don't need them and we can solve them at the mind first, that would be the more affordable and more suitable treatment, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. That's actually that's a good reason for why I'm doing what I'm doing. I do want this project to help more people realize that VR has a lot of potential in helping more different, a bigger variety of mental conditions if we just put the effort into, putting development into it. So, anyway, do you think VR has actually helped your ADD at all? Was it ADD?
ADD, yeah, and extremely. I also had cases of social anxiety, but that's something that a lot of people get. But here in VR, you aren't seen by your race. You aren't seen by your color. You're seen by the avatar you have, and that could be anything to your imagination. While some people feel like this can be informal because this is not you, this is your outer body. There's still a person in here. If you talk to somebody and you make a general conversation, it can allow you to know somebody further through a medium like a Discord, or like if you do some type of email or something like that, that you could get to know this person. Make an actual relationship that goes beyond just I see you for seeing me. So, in the process though, that's a blurb. In the process of ADHD itself, or ADD, I do believe it does help because you can go to some place that's calming, like a beach, that it can help you just get to your center. You learn through breathing slow and just allowing yourself to relax. That ADD can be controlled through just your state of mind and your whole body. You just take a moment to take everything in and don't let everything just rush by you, and you find that you have a lot more power over your own illness than you think.
Okay. So, obviously, you say that you can go to a beach and, various other safe spaces in VR. Do you think that that would have the same effect as actually going to those places in real life?
Oh, definitely, immensely. With how the developing technology is, I wouldn't be too far off to say that we could probably feel like what it would be to go to a beach eventually. If you're teaching something about the technology with VR, there's something called a haptic bodysuit. It's basically a chest piece that you could put on your avatar. Someone could literally go up to your shirt and almost like rub their finger like across your body. Like, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, since we're already making wireless VR, there's going to be VR gear that will be able to enact on the senses. That will almost take you somewhere that you physically, if you let's say you had a disability with your legs, that like you couldn't actively go out of like a medical office, or if there was some type of situation that you were stuck in like a wheelchair, you could still bring yourself to the beach by using VR. I think if anything, like I think this should be more explored because there's such a potential for people who have maybe like a bottom of the basis life standard right now, whether genetically created or by accident, that could give them something more. That's what I feel personally. And that's what my
Yeah,
whole study in college is for.
I totally agree with that, especially what you said about people who would have a actual disability physically being able to go out. That obviously would take a toll on their mental health as well, because if you were stuck at home all the time, obviously that's got to be quite bad for your mental health, because you don't really get to experience the same things others do. So being able to actually go places that you might never have explored before, that's going to have a very big benefit on someone's mental health.
Right, right. I do want to make one caveat though. While I feel like the treatment of VR is great, if it becomes a crutch and it's dependent, it can have some troublesome things. But with anything, there is a plus and a minus.
Mhm.
That with all the stuff that it has here, people might become dependent on it unless it does have a pro and a con. Which I feel like your project should have at least like that you acknowledge what the con could be. Like now, nobody wants to go and interact; they could just stay home and do it. They don't have to deal with the difficulty of real life. But in truth, you have to still be able to accept what happens in the world out there. So
Oh, of
I
course.
do feel it has a lot more cons that I feel like. I mean, sorry, pros. I'm sorry, I say cons. Pros that it can help out. There are some cons, but that's pretty much with anything in the world. There's a give or take. There's a yin for yang. There's a tit for tat.
Exactly. So obviously we've heard about what VR and your experience with it have done for your mental health, but have you had any experiences that you'd like to talk about with other people in VR and their mental health?
So my friend Clive, we'll say his name is Clive. Clive had a serious home issue where he felt extremely disassociated from his family. That he was considering suicide, and it was a very serious tone that he didn't have an avenue, and he wanted to just find something, anything to get out of his way. So because I was interested in it, I recommended him VR, which at the time he had a family that had a decent establishment at home with money and stuff. It was just because of that connection that was the issue. That he generally was like, I'll do anything to relieve like this pain, because it was like when you're in a state of depression like that, it's just that you want to remove the pain. Like you'll do anything and everything to do so. But maybe that's hitting a little too close to home for some people, so I apologize. But anyway, Clive did end up trying VR, and he was actually very welcomed here. He felt like he had a community to go to. He had people that he knew that he could relate to, and then I eventually met up with him on VR. I want to say I started VR in end of April, beginning of May, where I had met him. Um, and I found out after the 3 months that I told him about VR that he had come to find people that he really liked. He actually had a relationship with a person in his area from the whole ordeal. He met through through one of the Great Pug. Yeah, the Great Pug. That he found out that they were in his area, and he is now in a very comfortable and stable relationship with his girlfriend. We'll call her Amelia, for sake of story. So Clive and Amelia are in real good company with each other, living happily, and they actually, I believe, let me see my Discord real quick. Yes, Clive and Amelia are about to move in together in a
Aw.
small place.
That's adorable.
So, my take on the whole, if VR really does help these situations, while the situations themselves can vary depending on who you meet, generally people in VR are generally pretty decent people. And they share their experiences, and just like anybody else, they're just as nervous to meet new people as you are. So I say give it a chance, and you might find something miraculous here. Something you can't really find anywhere else. Like how you can meet people from other sides of the world. A community that I host has people almost in the four corners of the U.S. We have California, we have Florida, we have me who's in Massachusetts, and then we have other people spread across. Unfortunately, we don't have our top left corner yet, so we're working on that. But anyway, the joke about that is that you can reach a multitude of people that you couldn't if you were to just go outside. Not saying you couldn't meet people outside, but you might find somebody who you really connect with.
Not to interrupt, but we do have someone that lives in Washington.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Tomster.
Oh, Tom.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
A big buddy Tommy boy. Yeah, he does.
Yep.
But yeah, we have four corners of the U.S., but that's what I just mean when I think of stuff with disorders. You could actually find somebody who maybe has the same disorder as you. Find some coping mechanisms that you might have in between, something you didn't think of from somebody else's perspective. It's such a wide and spread variety of people out there that I feel like honestly you couldn't really go wrong. You're gonna find somebody who will probably help you eventually. Or if you get professional help, like you could just come here and live a normal average life.
Now, speaking of professional help, I know that there are actually some professionals in the real world who are actively using VR technology as a form of therapy. Obviously, earlier on we mentioned Oxford. I know Oxford are one of the people who are using this. Do you think that this is going to become more common in the next few years, or like in the next 10 years or so?
It's kind of hard to say. It's very up in the air because VR right now at the top of the line state isn't exactly cheap. As we know, like the miraculous and super index is over $1,000 or more in parts. Vive is just hitting under 800. The Cosmos, the new one, and any of the original stuff is harder to find.
All of
But
this
with
is
the
in
developing
dollars,
science,
by the way.
yeah, dollars. I apologize. It's not euros or any other currency.
Great British
But
pounds.
yeah, I'm sorry, American. I'm American. Anyway, yes, but with the developing nature of the field, I feel like there could be more profitable options like the Quest 2, which I believe was 400, and it is completely wireless. You could take it with you wherever you go as long as you have an internet signal somewhere.
Okay.
So, in my honest opinion, with the research and stuff, yes, I could see it developing, but it depends on the stimuli that it gets from maybe outside ventures, the profit and the economy that goes into the research itself. So I would like to see it, but it depends on how people take it seriously, how serious they take it.
Okay. So those are all the questions that I have. If there's anything else you'd like to talk about before we finish off and head to the next person, then do you have anything you want to talk about?
If you don't mind, just another minute or two. I just enjoying the conversation, so I wanted to just keep it going while I was thinking about it.
That's fine.
That I definitely feel though that even if it's not specifically for disabilities, exposing someone that maybe has anxiety, which is one of the most common things right now in the world, to VR in a controlled setting is a really good way to just open somebody's shell. That instead of this anonymity, that we just stay home and we just don't do anything. We don't talk to anybody. Like, there's a virtual world that we could go to. They'll literally just make those exchanges. I dealt with depression and a lot of anxiety in my own life that we stated before that I really couldn't do in the outside world. I'm a 30-year-old college student who's doing a lot of work and doesn't really have time for most social right now. My family's concerned because right now I'm not exactly in a relationship with anyone. I'm not looking for anyone. They don't have a girlfriend. I'm not making grandkids, that whole spiel. But it's coming to VR where it's like I can be whatever I want to be. I don't need to be judged. I can just have a wholesome conversation with someone and it not be super judgmental. It removes that barrier of judgment. And I feel like if anybody would like to come on here, like it's a community waiting, we'll happily take you with open arms. And that would be my last statement that I'd have.
I definitely agree with you about the whole no judgment thing. VR, like specifically VRChat. I know there are other places to go, like Rec Room is another one. But speaking specifically about VRChat and my experiences, there's a lot of things you can do here that you can't do in real life. Like you couldn't go up to someone that is like double your age and befriend them in real life. That would be kind of unusual. It would kind of be looked down upon by some. But in VR chat, it's not really about all of that. It's just how you click with someone, which I think is really good because obviously a lot of the younger generation can learn a lot of things from the older generation. I've definitely learned a lot from you, that's for sure, which is a great example. Like, you're not double my age, but, you know, it's close.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's a way that, like, it's fun and understandable. It's not exactly you look at a textbook and have to flip through 30 pages to try to
Exactly.
find what you want. It's where
Yeah.
you can actually ask questions and stimulate conversation. That's really, like, what I feel is an integral part of not only, like, putting it in your short-term memory, but crystallizing it into some experience you can use later on in your life.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I think that's about it. If, you know, I'm really not good at ending this off, am I?
No, you're fine. I think it was really good what you did. And hopefully procedure-wise that I hope everything else goes well. Hope your project and everything with you is
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. Wait and see.
All right. Right.
You are still
Have some fun. See you
adorable.
later.
Come here. Let me get some fried dragon tail. Hi. I didn't
Yeah,
realize it was time for the interview.
She totally wasn't gonna, kill anyone or anything. Poor baby. Anywho, this is Fox. The next person we'll be interviewing.
Hello.
Hi, cutie. You done getting chased to death? Don't try and kill my dragon. I'll kill you.
All right. I'm sorry. I do gotta.
Cute. Okay. Anywho, today we're going over VR and how it benefits / just affects mental health. So let's start with
Okay.
have you got any background in mental health or VR at all besides playing it?
Actually, I don't. I decided to get VR one day. Well, really, it started off with I was perusing YouTube and I happened to see a YouTuber streaming this game. And so I got super interested in it. And then after a couple months of searching for it, looking at other videos, anime characters in the same world, that was literally my Google search. I came across VRChat. And in doing so, I had just built my first computer, so I downloaded VRChat. And for the first 400 hours, I was a desktop user, so I didn't have the hands or the head movements. After 400 hours, I decided, I see all these people with hands and stuff, and they're having such a blast, and everyone that I've met seems to be extremely kind and just extremely welcoming to anyone who shows kindness towards them. I've seen plenty of people be hostile in the game, and I feel bad for them, and I just kind of, now that I have VR, I just try and make their experience fun in the best way that I can.
That's nice. Okay, I'd just like to point something out. You said 400 hours. I just want to clarify something. 400 hours is actually quite a small number in VR chat. We have people who come here over various years, and obviously the hours build up. How many hours do I have currently? I apparently have 2,141 hours, and I've been on VR chat for about 3 years now. So that kind of
And I've been on
says
VR
it.
chat for about 3 years myself. Well, 4 years now.
Well, that actually answers one of my questions, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm currently sitting at an 1800 for hours. It's hard to play VR chat and also have a life outside. Unfortunately for me, I had to work a lot, but that's also how I paid for my setup.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the questions that I'd like to ask. What is your general outlook on VR and how it benefits mental health, or just mental health in general?
So, you come across some people who have a condition such as myself, called agoraphobia, where we have a fear of being in places where we feel like we can't escape from, and crowded places. That can also be claustrophobia, which, me being a larger person, I also have claustrophobia, as weird as that is. I use VR chat to kind of get over my agoraphobia because I can hang out with large groups of people, and if I need to, I can just change a world. I've seen many people do that, like they get overstimulated and they move to a different world. I've had many friends who also have agoraphobia, and if they get worked up or if too many people are becoming hostile, they'll just move, and they usually go into a what a lot of people call a private world, and they don't talk to anyone. I feel like having that kind of ability to go into a safe space anytime you need to is really beneficial to anyone that's suffering any sort of like anxiety, depression, agoraphobia, and like autism, Asperger's.
So obviously VR isn't just VRChat. There are many things, like there are many softwares, there's many games, obviously social platforms like VRChat. So in general, how do you think VR affects mental health, including all of the games, all of the software?
I feel like it can really help like anyone who's suffering frustration. Um, Frustration, anxiety, depression. They can go into a whole new like surrounding. They can surround themselves in something that they love. Yeah.
Fair enough. So you actually answered two of my other questions, which were if you had a mental issue. Do you have any more, actually?
I have depression and anxiety. And ADHD. I actually have ADD and ADHD. I'm right on, as the doctor specifies it, right on the cusp of both. So, I have troubles concentrating, and this is the first place where, I can jump from one group to another, and the same with, like, the gear itself. I can jump from one game to another and not feel super weird about it.
Mm. So in the 3 years that you've been in VR, how do you think that's actually helped you in terms of your mental issues?
So before, like 3 years ago, going back to it, I was working a dead end job unloading a truck every day, and the depression was getting to me. Every day I would contemplate, and this is kind of a risky topic, but I would contemplate suicide, and it was every day, several times a day. I would think about how I should kill myself, what would be the easiest way, what would be the less bloody, like the least traumatic for people around me. And when I got into VRChat, I met a lot of people and they became just extraordinarily welcoming. And when I was at some of my lowest points and just I felt like I shouldn't exist anymore, I actually met a lot of communities. Unfortunately, I don't have any contact with them anymore because they all broke apart. Um, but they would sit, they would listen, they would talk with me, they'd hang out with me. Um, and I feel like a lot of people don't really, out in the real world, don't see that. They don't see that, someone might have this community that they can go to while other people do not. Like, they might not have the hardware to go into VRChat even as a desktop user, or go into any sort of like VR game where they can just escape reality. So I wish I could have become a psychologist or a psychiatrist, actually. I also wanted to become a bartender because they have that ability to listen to a person's problems and help them through it just by being that person that they can vent to. I wanted to be a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Unfortunately, in the state that I live in the US, it is illegal for someone with depression, anxiety, ADHD, and ADD to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And then my parents, my stepfather in particularly, pretty much told me that if I were to become a bartender, I'd become an alcoholic. And alcoholism is a very close thing to my heart. I have many family members that are alcoholics themselves, so it kind of like turned my dreams into absolute crumble, and now I just kind of exist.
Well, I mean, obviously VR gives you a place where you can kind of experience that whereas you couldn't in the real world, you can have that experience in here because a lot of people like to talk. One thing that I do like about VR and VRChat in specific is the fact that people are more open and people prefer to talk about themselves more openly and more freely than they might in the real world. And to be honest, that's mostly because in VRChat we're more accepting here because a lot of us come here with similar issues. It's like I know a lot of people have social anxiety and they come to VRChat to sort of practice how to deal with social situations. So going more into the difference between real life and VR environments, do you think how big of a difference do you think there is between them? Like if you went to the beach in VR and had an experience there, do you think it would be very different to going in real life?
So talking like on that topic in like a physical manner, I'm not the fittest person. I use this avatar because I feel comfortable with it. Where in VRChat, or VR in general, if I were to go to a beach, I don't have to worry about how I physically look. I don't have to look like a beached whale. I can be somewhat tan. I mean, in here I'm fairly pale. But this is one of my original characters. This is original Broken Fox. So, and then going to like a physical beach, you have all those social anxieties of like, this person looks fit as hell. Pardon. This person looks super fit. I don't look all that good. I have this belly. I have a beer gut, but I don't drink beer. And that's because I know why I'm physically unfit. And that's a my fault thing. I should really work on that. But beaches in VRChat compared to real beaches, you can be whoever you want in VR. You can't be whoever you want to be in reality.
Mm-hmm. So, social-wise, do you think that people act different when they go to places in VRChat or just VR in general compared to when they go in real life?
Absolutely. I feel in reality, a lot of people have that social anxiety, whereas in VR in general, they don't have to have that social anxiety because they are just who they want to betray or be. They want to be, not betray. They can be whoever they want, whatever they want.
Okay.
It's like our little cute dragon Stara here. She chooses to be a dragon.
Yeah.
And that's adorable.
She chooses to be moral support in this kind of unusual conversation. Well, I mean, that's another thing. This would be considered an unusual conversation in real life, talking about VR and mental health, because mental health is quite a touchy subject in real life. It's actually quite common to talk about it in VR chat. A lot of people talk about their issues, about their past, about the stuff that they feel, whereas in real life we don't really talk about that.
Yeah. I actually have a friend who, besides Show over there on camera 4...
Show gives a little fancy wave.
Hello, I'm the cameraman for this episode.
You.
The dragon said nothing.
He actually studied the positives and negatives of VR chat with mental disorders. And they have this whole, like, they themselves have a disability where they're... I forget what it's called, and I don't want to, like, missay the name, but in a social situation in, like, reality, they would have a hard time, like, understanding that this situation, like, hey, we're all jumping off a cliff into a, like, very sharp rocked water. Why don't you do it? when the tide is coming or leaving, they might not fully think about that, and they'll jump, thinking that it's still a good idea. And then he has this whole like analytical side, and he's learned to kind of switch between them to fully analyze situations. But coming into VRChat, his specific goal was to talk to people, get to know like people who will actually use VR compared to desktop users. And he has a huge
Sorry.
biography of he has a
Technical
huge
difficulty?
biography of his stuff. So he's written like biographies about the pros and cons of VRChat. And I was lucky enough to be actually interviewed by him too, when I first got into VRChat. And it was really VRChat continues to be a unique experience for anyone who joins it. And you have just this wide array of different communities that you can go to. I was lucky enough to find Show and you, and you're both very welcoming and very kind. And Stara
Stara?
too. I don't want to forget about Stara.
I was about to say.
Though Stara is always has like a grumbly voice, but she's always there to listen.
Is there anything that you'd like to talk about before we finish up the interview?
No, actually. I think I'm good.
All right. Then thanks for coming. Thanks for,
Yeah.
give me a handshake.
Yep.
Got a handshake without latency. Thanks for coming. Thanks for helping out.
Yeah.
Thanks for being camera person
not a
for a bit.
Hey,
Yeah.
I have one
Show!
question. I heard you were dragon tail hunting. Want to
Yeah.
explain yourself?
So I hear that since I'm a bartender, I hear that using like dragon scales helps intensify the fireball drink. If you were to drop a single scale into the glass of fireball, the shot of fireball, it increases the spice power and immeasurably. I've had people.
This isn't scripted, by the way. I didn't plan this. I just started doing this.
So
You have 5 seconds to run.
Don't kill them, please. I don't want to have evidence of murder.
Come back here!
I don't want Ah! Okay. Okay, we're gonna get the next person on. The next person we have on is actually Stara. Coming up? No? Okay. Guess we don't have Star on. Who else do we have on? Do you have anyone else?
Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys!
I missed! Anyways, hi! Hi! Let me... my bones! My frail, brittle bones!
Hi.
Welcome to the stage, Stara!
You can already tell this is going to be very informal.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. So, Stara, do you have any like background in VR or like mental illnesses or like anything like that? Mental health at all?
I mean, I grew up knowing a lot about mental health because my mom works at a hospital, so I knew both like physical and mental stuff like that. For VR, I don't know, like I knew VRChat existed like 2017 or something. I never got into it until like last year almost, because then I started using my old Windows Reality headset. That's when I started getting into the community. But yeah,
That's fine. Okay, so first off, what is your opinion on VR and mental health, like just in general?
Like it's both a good and bad thing. Like everything has like a good side to it and a bad side to it. It's for everything. That's how it is. And like you'll hear a lot of people who like do interviews like this, or people who are in the community be like, yeah, this is great, and this is great for depression, anxiety. But like people never really talk about the bad things, which like yeah, of course, is gonna leave a bad impression for people who don't know about it. But at the same time, I don't know the pros and cons of things.
Mhm.
Uh, like there are a lot of good like properties to VR, like especially with the pandemic going on, like people aren't able to go outside to have parties and hang out with friends and stuff. You can do that all here. You can just hop on and see all your friends and do whatever the hell you want on here, and like you can't really do that anymore nowadays with
Mm.
everyone being on lockdown.
Yeah, that's true. So we haven't really had much talk about the negative side effects of VR and mental health, and you obviously mentioned that there are some. What ones do you think there are?
Well, I mean, most of them are from my own like personal experience because I suffer with like severe depression and social anxiety. So usually if I ever went outside, whether it was school or anything, like I would be terrified of talking to anyone. I wouldn't like look at eye contact or anything. I'd stay by myself and I wouldn't, try and socialize. Uh when it's on here, it's not the same because you can just go in any avatar you want and just be who you are and whatever. But at the same time, for people who's like, yeah, this can help you like cope with like social anxiety and depression and stuff. It does, but it doesn't fix it. For me, VR has become almost a dependency, which is a very bad thing. So if I went out today to like get some milk or something, I would probably have a panic attack the moment I went outside. It's it's both a good and like VR, it can help you cope, but too much of it can make you a lot worse.
Mhm.
You just have to make sure you're, having the right amount and like not overdoing it.
Mhm. Obviously, that's the same with a lot of things, though. Everything in moderation, of course. Um,
Exactly.
so apart from the ones that you've already mentioned, do you have any other mental issues?
Um. Well, yeah, there was depression, the social anxiety. Um. I haven't really gone too deep into my own sort of mental health, at least as of recently. Uh. But I do think that I might have like some eating disorder or something like that. But those are minor, at least for VR wise. Um. But yeah, those are mostly all that I have, and like they they've gotten to a point, at least in the past, where like I've become like unable to do anything. I can't get out of bed. I even now still like I still have trouble getting up in the morning, being like, what am I gonna do today? And VR is kind of giving me that reason, like I can see my friends and the friends that I've never had in real life before. Like that's a first for me, especially recently. Like I've never had like a strong group of friends that I could wake up to every day and go see. Like I've never had that in real life. And it's scary, but it's also really fun.
Okay. So obviously, it helps you by giving you a reason to get up in the morning. Do you think it's helped you at all in any other ways?
Well, with social interaction, definitely. Because when I first started, I was complete mute. I would refuse to talk to anyone. And then gradually, by meeting people, I'd start to open up more about myself and, you know, actually not be afraid to be who I am without people judging. And yeah, there's obviously going to be people like who are going to be like, yeah, no, what you're doing is gross. Stop that. But like, you can find those small amount of people. Well, not really small because most of people in this community are very accepting. Uh, they'll take you in for whoever you are, despite what you look like IRL, like your race, gender, whatever. They'll accept you for who you are just based on you.
Mm.
And that's something that you don't get in real life, because if you ever try to meet someone, they'd immediately look at you and your appearance and make a judgment on that. You can't do that here,
Mhm.
which is really nice.
So, how long have you actually had VR and used it?
I've had it for almost a year now. I mostly just use it for this, because when I first had VR, I didn't use it for like a year, and then last year I started using it for mostly VRChat, as a way to help with coping with my social anxiety, because I was going into a new school program and that was scary. So I thought, hey, let's see if I can, work on some of my social skills by going into VR. And yeah, almost a year later, and I regret my life choices.
Oh,
Not really, but kind of. I don't know. That was a joke.
okay.
Haha, funny.
I'm just gonna give you a hug real quick. Hug.
Oh.
Damn, you're gonna make a girl cry. Shit.
Nah.
I mean, shananas. Oops.
Girl, that censorship. Gotta keep it PG. Okay. Oh. I mean, it's the wrong way round, but I can flip it in post.
Forehead.
Okay.
Look at my chain.
Back to the questions. Okay. So, obviously you've had a lot of experience with VR and how it's helped you, but how much do you think it has helped you in real life situations since you started using VR actively?
That's the problem I mentioned before, that if I went outside now, I'd probably have the worst panic attack of my life.
Okay.
But this is just for me personally. Like,
Mhm.
the way that I experience it is gonna be different for everyone else. So me being on VR for like a year, 2 years, whatever, like I could have a different result from someone who might have been playing it since the beginning, like 2016.
Mhm.
And it's all depending on the person. Like for me, I feel like it's because of my mental health and because of how I've been coping with it, with either therapy, medication, so on, whatever. It's got me to this point where I cannot go outside. And VR, I guess, kind of put a little more reason to it, because I wouldn't have to go outside because I have friends here, whatnot. I don't have to worry about anything social, but that's just from my own experience.
Mhm.
At least it's not for every single person.
Well, obviously that's why I'm
And that's
doing
what some
these.
people kind of don't understand.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm doing all of these interviews, because obviously everyone is different. Everyone has different experiences, and that's what I'd like to, shine a light on. Like, yeah, there are good benefits to mental health, but the things that it doesn't help with, we can make other alternatives for that. So yes, while
Exactly.
it may not help you specifically, because you might have used it too much, obviously then that means that we have to start looking at limitations. You have to start trying to research how much is too much, and things like that, and then we can put more development into working out the kinks, as they say, with the good and the bad. So
Exactly.
yeah, so obviously talking about how everyone is different, what are some of the experiences that strike you most that other people have had with their mental health and VR?
From what other people had? I mean, I've met a lot of people who have gone through a lot of like different stuff, like either family problems, like work issues, relationships, stuff like that. And VR is for a lot of them. whether it's going into public worlds and meeting new people, or going into like clubs. Like that's a huge thing in VR. Is like going to a club, hang out with people, like drinking the night away, stuff like that. Like it's crazy what you can do here, and for a lot of people, it's really beneficial. And a million times, the pandemic, people are not going to be able to go out drinking and hang out with people. So I would at least assume that VR would be very helpful for people who are really social and like cannot stand being inside.
Mhm.
Like VR would probably be a great way for like extroverts to like try and get that anxiety off of them.
Exactly. So speaking of the fact that obviously people can't go to parties because of the pandemic, do you think there is a big difference between real life environments and VR environments just in general? So including behavior, including actually how it feels to be there, everything included.
Oh yeah, there's like multiple things like based on like even what you feel, because a lot of people in VR have a thing called phantom sense, where they aren't able to touch your body, but you're still able to feel it on like your virtual hand or arm, whatever. And that can go from feeling someone's finger graze you, or like the temperature of the room. Like that stuff is crazy, and that's just from your brain. And like real world and virtual world, there's a lot of like common things, but there's also a couple differences. Like if you went to, let's say, like a beach world in VR, you wouldn't be able to feel the sand on your feet in real life. Like you could either feel like a carpet or hard floor. For I would say some people, you wouldn't be able to feel like the sun like on your skin, stuff like that. It's mostly feeling that you wouldn't be able to kind of experience. But other than that, like I feel like they're really interchangeable. Like you could, for a lot of people, you'd like just hang out with like family or something in real life one time, and then just go on VR, and you feel like you're completely the same. Like nothing's changed. And sometimes that's really crazy because like you don't know, like at least for some people, can't really tell the difference. It's scary.
Mm. So another thing, I remember you saying earlier on that you've actually gone through therapy. I don't know how much you know about VR therapy, but do you think that there's a chance of it becoming more commonplace in the coming years?
I would honestly hope that they do. Like I would personally do it. Because when you go through a therapist in real life, at least from my experience, it's somewhat intimidating because you kind of feel like they're on like a different level than you, and you can't really talk to them as like another person. Because for me, growing up, I had like tons of therapists, stuff like that, and every time I'd always feel like I'm just another paycheck to them. I'm just another part of their salary. I don't feel like my problems are important, enough to them to actually try and talk about it. Instead, they just be like, here, have some medicine, have some pills, stuff like that. And I don't know anything about therapy in VR, but I feel like it'd be a lot more different because they can't just hand you a prescription and be like, there you go, like, go whatever. Like, I feel like, especially with how you connect with people in VR, you talk, you actually have conversations. Having therapy in VR, I feel like would be extremely amazing, especially for people who are going through really hard times. And I feel like it should be explored more, especially for people who are, may not be able to financially, get help in the real world. I think that'd be really good for those kind of people.
Like most of the VR therapy that I've been looking into, I haven't looked into it in depth yet. That's what I'm going to be doing soon. But most of it is just going to like a hospital or somewhere that caters for therapy normally, and then they would give you a VR headset, put you in that environment. Exposure therapy, really. That's what they are using most commonly, from what I can see. But obviously, I have heard of there being a VR church where people actually go to church and they have proper, church sessions. I'm gonna say I'm probably using the wrong word. Most definitely
Yeah.
using the wrong word. But I can definitely see how having a similar experience with that, but with therapy, where you actually sit down and talk to someone in a therapy session, I can see how that would definitely be beneficial. So that would be, I do agree, that would actually be very nice to see get implemented into the virtual reality environment in the upcoming years.
That actually did remind me of something, of a video that I saw like a while ago. It was actually really interesting. It was about this mother who recently lost her child. I want to say like maybe like a few months ago, and there was like a crew who decided to put her into this VR game, and it was a game about her meeting her child again. Like going out, having a picnic, putting on the swing, stuff like that. And like honestly, it was just amazing to even like witness like secondhand. And I would have no idea how that mother would have felt like seeing her child right in front of her eyes. Like that must have been tremendous help for her.
Yeah, and of course, like if someone didn't have a chance to, say goodbye to someone for whatever reason, obviously an experience like that would kind of be their chance to, and it might help them move on. So there's really a lot of things that
Exactly.
could be explored through virtual reality, and obviously the programs that could be developed with it. So, there's no other questions that I have currently, but is there anything that you would like to talk about before we finish the interview?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming. Thanks for answering all my questions. You were surprisingly timid. Also, you're an amazing person, and I hope that you feel amazing too, because you are.
Oh,
Hug.
This is awesome.
You are wholesome. Squish.
Oh.
Okay.
Are we gonna do the latency handshake?
Yes.
Latency handshake.
Latency handshake. I need to do this with Rory because I didn't do this with Rory. Is that what we're calling it now? We're just calling it the latency handshake. Oh, hello.
Copter.
Well, I
Let's
mean,
go
we started
vroom.
with an airplane. We're ending with a copter, apparently. Okay, so now that we're done with that interview, we should probably get on to the next person. Can we get the next person in?
Hey, Sword, I don't mean to disrupt you or anything, but I couldn't find the person in the waiting room. You told them to come, right?
Yeah, I told them. I'm pretty sure, like, they said that someone had just come.
Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Shoo 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 shoo. Interview time. Shoo shoo
Hello?
shoo 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 shoo.
Okay.
Shoo, shoo. Hi, Rabbit.
Hello.
Hello. How's your day going?
It is going well.
Nice of you to drop in like that.
Maybe a bit.
Okay, so today we're here doing an interview about VR and its benefits towards mental health, obviously. So we'll start off with what your general view on VR and mental health views are.
Well, my general view changed with time. At first, I saw VR just for a new experience. Then I saw VR and VRChat as a place to find people to hang out with. So VR can be as good as it can be bad sometimes. It depends really on the person, but my general view is that I use VR to feel the distance between the people, and I feel like I am here with people without well going out and trying to break my introverted self.
Okay. So how do you think that VR can actually affect mental health, though, in general?
Well, some people are really introverted, like I am. In real life, it's really difficult to, well, talk with people and actually have a conversation. And uh, social anxiety really doesn't help with that. But when I am in a place that is, well, with people that I just met or people that I know would be okay, I don't feel much anxiety, and VR helps with that since I found much people being rather good than uh, in real life.
Mhm. So, obviously mentioning anxiety, am I right to assume that you have social anxiety?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Do you have
In
any
real
other?
life, it's really difficult to talk with people.
Yeah, that's understandable. Do you have any other mental issues
Mm.
or anything like that?
Well, mental issues, it's more complexes since I uh, I am really interested, so I have lots of complexes about lots of things. And there is one thing which doesn't have at all. It's that I am, well, trans, and so since our life, nobody can see that, and nobody can even notice it since I don't talk, I don't say anything. People usually, well, they usually take it the wrong way than what I would like them to see me as. So lots of complexes about that as well.
Mhm. So,
And even
no, Karen. Sorry.
even in VR, sometimes when I go in public places, I have difficulties to show my voice since people usually react with, "Oh, you're a boy or a femboy" or such things.
Mm.
Not at all.
Okay, so how do you think VR has actually affected your social anxiety since you got into it?
I open myself much more. Social anxiety also comes with the fact that I usually don't talk about my problems at all. And I am, well, slowly but surely opening myself to, well, the people I could consider as friends. And I already have lots of luck to have people that I can consider friends. Since in real life, it's not the same thing at all. I always kept everything. So it's already a big change since usually I'm more dealing with things myself.
Mhm. So, when you think of how you act in VR compared to how you act in real life, and you think of the differences between VR and real life in general, what are your thoughts on the differences and maybe the similarities?
Well, in real life, I really feel like I hold myself back. It really is always like this with my family, or well, they don't really accept, for example, that I am trans, and even for my problems and my social anxiety, I usually, well, not talk about them, and that's basically everything in real life. Since I'm afraid of what they can do, I just don't talk about it.
Mhm.
And in VR, I open myself a bit more and more because I have a sort of safe feeling that the people that I am talking with can't really change my life in real life. And so that helps to open up a bit more on my problems. And also with the fact that I am trans, it's way easier since I can act really well, be the person that I want to be in real life, but in VR, and avoid all the problems with the family and everything.
Mm.
So if I had to say the differences and the similarities, I would say that, well, VR makes me a bit kinder in real life, and I feel like it's getting closer to both. It's kind of like two different person, but their personalities are kind of closing up with time, and well, I am pretty sure that it would help later on when I would actually, well, try to change things
Mm.
in real life.
So basically, you think that being in VR and testing out who you and finding who you really are is actually helping you find who you really are in real life then?
Well, it's more preparing for me to open myself in real life
Mm.
because I don't really hold myself back in VR. If someone upset me or do anything, I can just open the menu and block them. If I do that in real life, there would be way more drama, and the people, well, I would still stay, especially since it's my family and I don't have anywhere else to go. So
Mm.
it would be daily that such thing would happen.
So obviously we've explored some of the ways that it's benefit you. Actually, before I go into the next question, um, how long have you actually been using VR for?
Well, actually, I came onto VRChat really a long time ago when it came out. So I fell in love with VRChat, and so in VR as well, since I could hang out with people. I couldn't join VR until this June. So this June I bought a VR headset with everything, and well, immediately it gave me a desire to be on VRChat, to make friends, to express myself as well, and go on.
So obviously, since you only recently got into VR, but you have been on VR chat for a long
Yeah.
time, surely you've met a lot of VR users who have had their own mental issues and expressed as much
Mhm,
in VR chat. Do you have any stories
mhm.
to tell about other people, about your friends, and about their struggles with their mental health and how VR might have helped them?
Well, there is one person that I could talk about, um, which is actually um, living in South Korea. That person is feeling extremely lonely, and I still see him from time to time, even now. That person, well, has lots of loneliness issues since they can't really talk about anything. And in South Korea, school is really intense. They really expect lots of things from their students and even from workers. So what they really fear that when well, during the vacations I met them, they really fear the school since for them it's really difficult and well, loneliness happens everywhere. Depends on which person is more into it. And if I have to tell over examples, I've met a few other people which are trans like me, and well, they got into problems as well since I see that it's sort of usual that the family doesn't really agree to everything, not just as trans, but also any LGBT families not so supportive. That's the main problems I saw for now. Really.
So, a lot of what I've been researching is about VR and therapy. So, how you can implement therapy into the virtual reality environment. Do you think,
Mm.
so far, all I've come to find is that a lot of it is exposure therapy. So, putting someone in an environment where they're exposed to phobias. So, obviously, social anxiety, they would probably be put in a public space or to do public speaking, as I've seen from one video. But do you think that VR therapy will become more commonplace in upcoming years?
Well, I would say it could, like it could not. VR is for now really restrained. Not many people know about it. Not many people well use it. VR requires lots of well a good PC, a really good material if we want to really experience it. So it might take some time, but if the results are here, I don't see why not. It would not be more common.
So those are all the questions that I have, but if there's anything that you would like to talk about, then, now's the time.
Well, what I also do in VR, which I don't do in real life, since I have social anxiety, I really express way more my kindness in VR, and it really shows because lots of things happen in real life if I even act weirdly. And I don't know, I really like to show kindness in VR and well, even online. I was on another social app before and like VRChat, we were well talking about everything, all playing, doing activities. And well, I really liked to well cheer up people and help them. So
Well, they really
yes,
should be more people who like to just come in and cheer people up because there's a lot of sad people in the world, and a lot of them are on here, unfortunately.
yeah,
Well, actually, no, fortunately,
yeah.
because that means that we have a lot of people like you on here as well who can help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me. I'm gonna have the latency handshake, as we've now come to call it.
Mhm.
You'd like to make your way off? Then we can head to the next interview. Thank you for
All right.
joining me.
Goodbye.
Bye. No cool no cool outro this time. I'm surprised. Okay, so these were some interviews that I conducted as my primary research for my Welsh back. These are some of my friends from VRChat. VRChat is a social platform where you can, be either a VR user, as you can see, or you can also be a desktop user. Looking at my friend Dr. Danmark by there. But I thought it would be really interesting to actually delve into the minds of some VR users besides myself to see their opinions on the question at hand. So I hope you enjoyed. Yeet. Bye.